Ford cranked their machines until some of them exploded with excessive power. Today's engines are far more complex and powerful than those of the early days. And if you are wearing the Napa badge, you must brave the wonders of the age of the most sophisticated automobile ever. To give your customers quality Napa service, you need to stay abreast of all the technological improvements being made in today's engines, especially the belt drive.
This training session will give you everything you need to know about the high cord V-belts, timing belts, and V-ribbed belts. 3 belts which have become the mainstay of the automobile industry. After discussing each of these belts, we will take a short break to answer any questions you might have. Most every automotive belt looks the same, but all V-belts are not the same. They're not the same in how they are made. They're not the same in how they perform. It's important that you understand the difference in the 2 belts being sold nowadays.
There are 2 types of automotive bandless belts. Napa belts are high cord belts. The other belt is the center cord line belt. Center cord line belts cost less to make and perform to different standards. They are commonly sold at mass merchandisers, discount, and chain stores. Value is sacrificed on the lower-priced center cord line belt. The strength in any belt comes from its reinforcing cords. That's the muscle of the belt. When a belt has a center cord line, the intense flexing of drives using small diameter pulleys, such as the typical alternator drive, causes the extra material above the cord line to heat and eventually crack. Napa high cord line belt has more reinforcement because there is more room for more cords. When the engine is running and the pulley turning, virtually all of the high cord belt's material supports the tensile member. With center cord belts, it's a tug of war. Part of the belt is pulled into the pulley to support the tensile member, with the upper portion being carried along for a free rock. As the center cord belt fights its tug of war, the side walls of the belt hang to the pulley, stretching the sidewall. Tremendous pressure is created right above the cord line. The likely point where the belt will start to fail is directly above the cord line on the belt sidewall. An alternator with a small diameter pulley or an air conditioner drive which cycles on and off puts tremendous strain on a belt. Center cord belts are not tough enough to handle this kind of load and give the same service life as a high cord belt.
Test data shows the superiority of the high cord line belt. We've tested high cord Napa belts and center cord line belts from 3 manufacturers on a standard SAE accelerated wear test. The test procedure followed is the SAE test used for V-belts and recognized by Gates, Dayco, Goodyear, and other V-belt manufacturers. All belts were the same length and angle. The proper SAE 3-point automotive test machine was used.
To get results in a reasonable time, we use a certified accelerated SAE test. That is, we used a fixed RPM and more tension than an engine would normally run. Results are expressed in hours a belt operates before it fails.
One center cord line belt lasted only 2.4 hours, with an overall average of only 100 hours, while the Napa high cord line belts averaged 415 hours, more than 4 times the average for center cord line belts.
The bars on this chart show the range of performance, or lack of performance, for each individual belt in the SAE test. Note that each high cord belt had consistently the same performance. This means more predictable performance.
Not true with the center cord line belt. Some did pretty well, while others barely lasted 10 hours. It's a gamble with a center cord belt. So a few center cord belts may do all right on some drives, but some will break after a minimal amount of service. Your customers need to know that center cord belts won't last as long. The test results you saw used the proper size belt to fit the application. But what happens in the real world? What if you don't have the right size belt? One belt manufacturer has substituted 15 32nd-inch top-width belts for 3 8-inch belts in an attempt to shorten their line. Replacing 3 8-inch belts with the 15 32nd-inch belt is a bad compromise in both fit and performance. Lack of full belt support in the pulleys can result in belt slippage, belt instability, and increased belt wear. And 3 8-inch belts are the most popular OEM V-belt used on the passenger cars and light trucks. Higher engine speeds and more demanding accessory systems require more durable and flexible V-belts that can withstand higher temperatures, and especially belts that accurately fit the OEM application. Most cars use belts within a length range of 35 inches to 55 inches. In the Napa belt line, we have 38 3/8-inch belts in this size range. We didn't just create a bunch of sizes without reason. 28 to 38 are top sellers.
Anyone who buys a discount-type belt rather than a first-quality Napa belt takes a chance of getting a belt that may give inferior performance. To attempt to consolidate a belt line at the expense of proper fit is a disservice to your customers.
Napa belt technology does not make compromises. Close fit isn't good enough. Napa belts fit perfectly. That's a major reason why they give longer service. And Napa mechanics are sure their customers will be satisfied. Getting back to center cord and high cord belts. If a center cord belt doesn't fit right, it won't perform as well as it did in the lab test. While the lab test shows the center cord belt lasting just 25% as long as a high cord belt, an improperly fitted center cord belt won't last that long. Consumers will often find center cord line belts in short, consolidated lines. To summarize, center cord belts are a gamble. It's a gamble that a center cord belt will fit and drive properly. It's a gamble that application won't be too demanding of the belt.
Napa belts are high cord and high performance, and they fit. So you're not gambling with this premium quality belt line. Make sure your customers realize that they may pay a little more for a Napa premium quality belt, but they are getting a lot more quality and service.
Before we go on to discuss timing belts and V-ribbed belts, here are some very important tips on proper installation of V-belts.
If the Napa belt catalog recommends a specific belt for an application, you can depend on that belt to do the prescribed job. In accordance with industry practice, Napa belt sleeves show effective length, a method agreed upon by the industry for accurately measuring the length of a belt while under tension on standard measuring devices. For convenience in measuring on the job, we show outside circumference, OC, in our catalog size list. It's best to use a belt catalog for determining belt size. If a catalog is not available, you merely pull a tape around the circumference of the old belt, then refer to the size listing for the corresponding dimensions. Or better yet, use Napa's belt number finder. Before installing a new belt, it is very important to inspect the pulleys. All oil and grease should be removed with an approved solvent. Remove any rust with a wire brush, and dress down any burrs with a small file. Burrs will greatly increase belt wear and decrease belt life. The most frequent causes of V-belt drive trouble are misalignment and worn pulley grooves. Worn pulleys must be replaced, or they can cause instability in the drive with the possibility of the belt flipping or turning over. Caution: you should never pry on, roll on, or physically force belts on a drive. Although they are somewhat elastic, V-belts are not rubber bands. Forcing a belt onto a drive usually damages the tensile cords and shortens belt life. Plus, the methods of forcing a belt onto a drive are quite dangerous for the installer. Before installing a belt, be sure the automobile's battery has been disconnected so the car cannot start accidentally. The only way to correctly install a V-belt is to release the drive take-up sufficiently to slip the belt onto the pulley. Now, examine the drive. Study the arrangement and method of adjustment for each drive. Notice that in some cases, other belts must be removed to gain access to the belt to be replaced. Matched belts should be returned to the same grooves from which they were removed. Most belt-driven accessories are attached to mounting brackets with mounting, pivot, and adjustment bolts. Usually, only the pivot bolt and adjustment bolt need to be loosened to release an accessory so that it can be moved to its minimum adjustment position. For example, here's how to install a fan and alternator generator belt. First, loosen the accessory's pivot bolt. Loosen the adjustment bolt. Move the accessory toward the engine block by grasping the belt and pulling sharply upward, being careful not to pinch your hands or fingers. If the belt is broken or missing, use a pry bar. A hammer handle does nicely to move the accessory. Remove the old belt by slipping it off the accessory pulleys and working it up and over the fan blades. On some cars, the fan is too close to the radiator to slip the belt off. If this is the case, the fan must be removed to change belts. With the new belt, reverse the procedure. Work the new belt down and over the fan blades and slip it into the crankshaft and accessory pulley grooves. On belt drives with plenty of take-up adjustment, installing a belt is usually no problem. However, with limited take-up drives, installation can sometimes be a little tricky. For example, if you are installing a fan and alternator belt, and the belt seems just a little too short to install, you should try installing it from a different approach. For the fan and alternator, there are 3 conceivable ways to install a belt, but maybe only one way will work. Pull the accessory by hand until the belt is snug. Then, with a lever, apply force on the accessory until the belt is tight. Care must be taken to pry on the engine and accessory at points where neither will be damaged. Then tighten the adjustment bolt. With a tension gauge, check the tension. The higher figure, shown in the Napa belt catalog, plus 15 pounds, is the tension required when a new belt is first installed. After a short run-in period of 15 to 20 minutes, the new belt should be retensioned to the higher figure recommended in the catalog. Periodically, belt tension should be rechecked. If it is near or below the lower figure, the belt should be retensioned to the higher figure. Installing a belt on the steering, air pump, or air conditioner is similar to that of fan, alternator, generator installation. How the belt rides in the pulley groove is extremely important and affects the V-belt service life. The belt should ride reasonably close to the top of the pulley groove. If the belt rides too high, it may not be adequately supported by the pulley and become unstable. If the belt rides too low, it will soon bottom out in the pulley groove. The belt will then act like a flat belt and will lose its wedging grip on the sides of the pulley grooves. This will cause the belt to slip, thus increasing belt wear, glazing of the belt sidewalls, and accelerating pulley groove wear. Misalignment shortens belt life. Excessive wear occurs if the belts do not enter and leave the pulleys in a relatively straight line. The 2 most common causes of misalignment are shown here. On drive A, the shafts of the driver and driven machines are not parallel. And B, the pulleys are not located properly on the shafts. To check alignment, all you need is a straight edge or a steel tape for drives with longer centers. If these are not available, you can use heavy string. Belt kinking in the drive puts higher tension loads on the outside tensile cords of the belt. This causes tensile cords to weaken and leads to premature belt failure and belt vibration. In severe cases of misalignment, the belt will completely run off the pulleys.
Time for a pit stop and questions and answers.